They say we live in a goal-oriented society. Lucky us, because we are facing some global issues. So the sooner the better we find solutions for these issues, the better. However, the designers who we assume will guide us out of this mess often aren't at all that goal-oriented. On the occasion of Glue Amsterdam, I will interview some of those members of that creative community for Glue TV. Glue Amsterdam is a 4 days design route for and by designers, architects, brands, agencies, artists, galleries, institutes, educations, and so on, in and around Amsterdam. Welcome to Glue TV. My name is Marsha Simon. I'm an independent moderator, presenter, and program maker in the creative industries. And joining me in the studio today is Laura Papke as an interdisciplinary designer. Am I correct, Laura?
Yes, that's correct.
How are you? You are at home in Eindhoven. Unfortunately, you couldn't come here due to heavy weather. But now you are here. Please allow us to know who you are and what you are doing.
Yeah, so I'm as you said, interdisciplinary designer and artistic researcher, working in the intersection of technology, ecology, and mental health. So what I'm doing is I'm creating spaces and experiences that bring us closer to ourselves, our bodies, but also to the communities that we are entangled with, which means like non-humans, but also humans and non-human beings.
Thank you very much for that introduction. But for the people at home who are not used to interdisciplinary design and all the things you just mentioned, can you make it a little bit more concrete? Can you, for example, give an example of the project you are working on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the project that I'm working on is called Sonic Driving, and it's a participatory performance in which people can connect to themselves and others through the heartbeat. So I'm using pulse sensors that detects the heart rhythm and translates it into low frequency sound. So we are able not just to hear, but also feel the heartbeat of the group. And that makes it able to connect to the body, because we really feel the rhythm that drives us. But also we can connect through a process called synchronization, which studies prove are helping us to create social bonds and to build communities. And it's an interdisciplinary project because first of all, I'm working a lot with people from different disciplines. So with engineers, but also a lot of people from embodiment practices like body therapy, for example, because I'm working with these inner processes. So it's also getting a lot into this scientific field of how we work, but also how it's related to psychology.
Okay, thank you for elaborating on that. May I ask, you graduated last year at Design Academy in Eindhoven. You presented your work during the graduation show, which means many people saw your project and maybe even experienced your method. May I ask how people responded to your project? It's not easy to understand, is it?
Yeah, I think people who were just standing around it would not necessarily understand it immediately, because it's really an experience that uses your own data or your own processes to explore. But people who would try it would be super surprised on what's happening and what it actually also does. So a lot of people came without any expectations and told me afterwards they felt super vulnerable at the beginning, but then super empowered after. Or people that didn't know each other, like complete strangers, that would feel a form of connection without even talking to each other. And I think that was the most beautiful part of it, like having these shared experiences from people, that didn't even know each other. And
Can you maybe share an anecdote of the people you met and how they responded? What did they tell you?
Like one story that really drove me had not necessarily to do with the project itself, but it was about heartbeats and synchronization. So someone talked about horses and how horses actually synchronize their heartbeats to protect each other, and that they also do that even in domestic places with people, with human beings. And I think I found that quite beautiful because I think we as humans have also this power and this beautiful opportunity to connect with each other and to create a better world together.
Hey, and for our viewers to understand how you actually come across a beautiful project like this, because it's very rich. Indeed, you have to do research before you can get to an outcome like this. You use design to create a setting where people can actually have this experience. But how do you work? Where do you start? Where do you go through? And then, how do you come to a kind of end result?
Mm-hmm. Well, within my practice, I always start with a personal experience or feeling that I have. So as an example for this project, it was really the heartbeat that I felt and that was so powerful that I wanted to share this feeling with someone. And from there on, I go into the more scientific research. So I'm exploring scientific processes behind it. For example, the process of synchronization, there's a lot of studies that I read into. But then also I work a lot into more embodied research or embodied knowledge sharing, which is quite performative in a way. So I use performative design strategies to reach my goals. And then everything kind of comes together and yeah.
I just gave a short introduction on the theme, not being so goal-oriented. Is this also suiting your process? Are you focused on the process rather than the outcome?
Yeah, very much. I know that the project has a lot of things that could be goals, like synchronizing with each other, for example, but it's definitely not about that at all. It's a beautiful thing, and I think the project offers the possibility to learn about it, but the idea is really to become part of this process and to enjoy it, and not to actually try to reach a goal, but to just be and enjoy.
And I can imagine that if you are presenting your project, that then actually the presentation itself, the performance itself, becomes part of the process to continue the project. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you had a presentation about 1 year ago, let's say. Did you go to other places to present this project? And how do you then prepare for a different audience or a different setting, a different, I don't know, maybe theme addressed?
Yeah, well, you just mentioned like the project being a process. So I really see this still as like a place of exploration. So every place I go, I try to open up all the borders of it and bring in new perspectives. So, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I have shown the project on a digital arts festival in Germany, which was in a coal mine. And there, the idea was really to do a site-specific context, or to bring in the site-specific context into the project, where the idea was to remember these exploitation processes and to kind of use this remembrance as a way to understand, but also to heal kind of this trauma. So always when I go to a new place, I transform the project according to the space and to the context, which also means that it's more accessible for different audiences. So
yes, talking about these different audiences, Why is it important for you that that you reach out to these different audiences?
Mm. Yeah, I think design often is very limited in the way it's been exhibited or shown to the outside world. It's often very these like design exhibitions, design shows, and I often feel that there's a lot of people that would profit from all these inspiring innovations, but don't have the access to it. And by making design flexible and more spontaneous, it offers the possibility to reach also other people. And I think, yeah, that answers your question, hopefully.
Definitely, definitely. I have to look at the time. Fast forward, your work is selected by the GLUE team because of the theme, stretching the definition of design. Why do you think that that actually really fits your work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think I mentioned already like the most two important points. So really this idea of exploring the design of a product itself by always transforming it according to the spaces and to the context it's situated in, but also by reaching different audiences through that. So I really think stretching the idea or the definition of design is also about bringing in different perspectives and ideas that are not necessarily design, but that are maybe more understandable for also a variety of other people that might not be so connected to it.
Yes. So Glue Amsterdam is a 4-day design route, which also people from a general public can go on their bike and go on a design adventure. So where will your work be shown?
The work will be shown at the Vrije Academie.
And
yeah,
yes,
throughout the exhibition, people will have the possibility to experience the project. So I will be there and I will guide visitors through the whole process.
yes. And now it's landing in Amsterdam. In what way are you preparing for this location and this setting and this kind of public?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about this before our meeting. And I really think it's important for me to visit the place a couple of times to really also get a bit to know the audience that is already there, that is already knowing this place, to kind of to reach those people, but also to get really the essence of the place, how it feels when you're there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laura. It's time for me to wrap up. So, for the viewers at home, thank you very much for watching. A big shout out to the GLUE team and our guests, and also a very warm thank you for Pakhuis de Zwijger for making this all happen. See you at GLUE.